Smoke drifted through the ruined air as explosions shook the surface of Alexia 9. Machines screamed. Flesh and metal were torn alike. In the middle of this war-torn planet, a single human engineer named Darren pushed through the rubble. He wasn't a soldier. He didn't carry a weapon. But today, fate had dropped him in the middle of a battlefield between two alien factions, and none of them cared about civilians. Darren was trying to reach a shelter site when he heard the sound. It wasn't the thunder of cannons or the hum of drones. It was a voice, a small voice, trembling. He turned toward the sound. A collapsed metal beam had pinned something underneath. He rushed over, lifting the hot steel with his gloved hands. Beneath it, lying half-conscious, was a purple-skinned alien girl. Her body was badly damaged. One of her legs was shredded, wires and cybernetic parts sparked. But her eyes, glowing faintly blue, met his with fear and exhaustion. She didn't speak his language, not at first. But when Darren pressed a translator patch to her neck, her voice came through clearly. "Please, don't leave me here." He didn't. Darren carried her on his back for over 2 kilometers through shattered cities, using old tunnels and maintenance paths. They reached his underground workshop, a place once used to repair mining bots. It was dusty, cluttered, but safe. The alien girl, whose name was Kayla, lay on his work table. Darren did what he could, sealed her wounds, disconnected the ruined leg, and used emergency gel to stop the pain. She didn't cry, but her breathing trembled. Kayla belonged to a species known as the Tyrval, a biomechanical race once feared across the stars, but she was just a girl. And whatever she'd been trained for, it clearly wasn't war. She had markings of a servant, not a soldier. Someone had thrown her into battle like scrap. The next day, when she had regained some strength, she said something strange. "I will give you my body," she said quietly. "If you give me legs, strong ones, fast ones, I'll be useful." "Please." Darren stared at her, confused. "What? You're an engineer. I saw your tools. You build. I need legs. Take my body. That's what others do. That's how trades work." He stood there silent. She was serious. In her mind, it was a fair deal. Just metal and meat. He walked over slowly and placed a blanket over her. "You're not for sale," he said. She blinked, unsure what that meant. Darren spent the next week building. He took apart old exosuits, scavenged high-torque servos, and used parts from defense drones he had saved over the years. Each time Kayla asked what she could give in return, he said the same thing. Nothing. Kayla couldn't understand. Where she came from, everything had a price. Even her. Especially her. But as time passed, she watched him work. He didn't stare at her like others did. He didn't chain her, didn't ask questions about her body. He just worked and sometimes hummed old songs under his breath. He made her laugh once by accidentally spraying sealant in his face. That laugh had shocked them both. The first time she stood up on her new legs, they clicked, then hissed. She wobbled, but Darren steadied her. "These are mine?" she asked. "They're yours," he said. "Free, no trade. You're not a machine." She walked a few steps, then turned back to him. Her expression had changed. The cold survival look was gone. There was something softer now, something fragile. She sat on the work table, again pulling her knees up. "You could have taken me." "Why didn't you?" "Because I'm not like them," he replied. "And neither are you." Outside, the war still raged. But down in that workshop, something rare was taking place. Kindness in the middle of chaos. Kayla looked at the legs Darren had built, then at him, then back to the legs. Maybe for the first time in her life, she wasn't just parts waiting to be bought. Kayla was quiet for many hours after her first steps. She sat at the edge of the work table, fingers brushing against the smooth surface of her new mechanical legs. The servos made soft clicking sounds when she moved. They weren't just strong, they were made with care. She knew the difference. Machines built by force were cold, sharp, rushed. These were different. They felt kind. Darren worked across the room, checking an old power unit. He didn't talk much unless she did first. She liked that. Too many others talked just to hear themselves. He spoke only when needed, and when he did, his voice was calm, warm, real. Kayla finally stood again, slowly, adjusting to her balance. I want to help. Darren looked up from the wires. Help how? I can clean, carry tools, I can lift heavy things now. You're not my assistant, he said with a half smile. You don't owe me anything. She looked down at her legs again. But I want to. That changed things. She followed him around the workshop as he repaired damaged systems. Sometimes she brought him tools before he asked. Sometimes she just watched and listened, learning. In the evenings, they sat near the heater core, sipping recycled water and eating nutrient bars. Kayla didn't like the taste at first. But after a few days, she said they reminded her of home, bland, but safe. Then one night, she asked him something different. What do humans do when someone saves their life? Darren shrugged. Depends on the human. What would you do? I'd try to live better than I did before. Kayla didn't answer, but she thought about that all night. The next day, a problem came. While Kayla was out collecting scraps from a nearby alley, she didn't notice the drone above her. It was a scout, small but deadly. From the Blackguard faction, the same ones who had likely wounded her before. She ducked behind a collapsed wall and froze. The drone scanned the area. Her new legs made a slight whirring sound as she crouched. Too loud. A red light blinked on its front sensor. She ran. The drone followed, scanning and pinging. She dodged through narrow passages, her speed better now, but still not fast enough to lose it. The drone fired a warning shot. A wall near her exploded. She screamed, more from fear than pain. Darren heard it. He ran outside, carrying a compact EMP launcher. He had never used it in battle, only for disabling mining bots, but it would have to work. He saw Kayla sprinting toward him, the drone right behind. He didn't wait. He aimed and fired. The blast hit the drone's core. It sparked, twitched, and fell to the ground smoking. Kayla collapsed in front of him, breathing hard. She looked up. I didn't mean to lead it here. I know, he said, kneeling beside her. You're safe. He helped her back inside. Her hands shook. They know I'm alive. Then, we move, Darren said. We can't stay here. They packed quickly. Darren took what tools he could carry. Kayla helped without being asked. It was the first time they worked like a team, silent, fast, focused. They traveled through the old water tunnels beneath the city. Sometimes they had to crawl. Sometimes they heard noises above boots, engines, metal echoing, but they kept moving. At one point, Kayla slipped. Her leg got caught between pipes. She gasped as sparks flew. Darren turned around, grabbed her hand and pulled gently. I've got you. The leg was damaged. Not beyond repair, but enough to slow her down. She looked at him, frustrated. I broke your gift. It's not a gift, he said. It's part of you now, and we'll fix it together. They reached an old maintenance station by nightfall. It was abandoned but had power. Darren set up a temporary shelter while Kayla rested. He removed her damaged leg, started repairs. You always fix things? She asked softly. Not always. Some things don't want to be fixed. She smiled, just a little. I did. Darren glanced up. You were never broken, just treated like you were. She didn't respond. But for the first time since they met, she didn't look away. That night, she slept without fear. And Darren sat nearby, guarding the entrance, not because she owed him, but because no one else ever had. Asterisk. The station was quiet in the morning, lit only by flickering blue lights from the old wall panels. Darren was already awake, working on Kayla's leg. His hands moved with precision. adjusting the servo joints, fixing wires, tightening the clamps. He didn't talk much while he worked, but Kayla had learned that was his way. She watched him from her spot on the bench. One leg connected, the other still open and waiting. "You don't sleep much," she said softly. "Not when I've got repairs to do." She tilted her head. "Are you always fixing people?" He looked up. "No, just machines. You're the first person." Kayla smiled a little. "Then I hope I'm not too difficult. You're tough." "That's different." When the leg was finally repaired and locked back into place, Kayla stood up slowly. The new parts moved smoother now, almost like natural muscle. She stretched, testing her balance. "I like these legs," she said. "They feel like they were made for me." "They were," Darren said. She looked around the old station. "We can't stay here long, can we?" "No. The drone likely sent a ping before I hit it. Others will come. Where to next?" "There's an old launch bay 2 sectors east. If we reach it, I can fix the shuttle inside. It's our best chance off this planet." Kayla nodded. "Then let's go." They moved together, Kayla keeping pace easily now. Along the way, they passed broken droids, rusted gun turrets, even a collapsed Titan suit with its pilot still inside. The war had touched everything. Nothing had been spared. They didn't talk much during the walk. The silence wasn't awkward, it was calm. Kayla had grown used to the quiet comfort around Darren. He wasn't trying to control her. He didn't stare at her like a thing. He just walked beside her, like an equal. They stopped near an old transport tunnel for rest. Kayla leaned against the wall, brushing dust from her arms. "I used to think kindness was a trick," she said suddenly. "Where I grew up, it always came with a price." Darren didn't reply right away. He pulled out a small energy bar and handed it to her. "I don't do tricks," he said. "I just fix things. And hope it matters. It does." Later that day, they reached the outer wall of the launch bay. It was sealed shut, the control panel blinking red. "Can you open it?" Kayla asked. Darren examined the wires. "Maybe, but it's been years since this system was active. I'll need time." Kayla stepped back and scanned the area. Her legs made almost no sound now. She moved like a shadow dot as Darren worked. Kayla spotted something in the distance movement. 2 figures. "Armored, not human, Darren," she said calmly. "We've got company." He looked up. "Get inside, now." She didn't move. "They're blackguard scouts," she said. "They track survivors. They'll take you. I'm not leaving you out here. You have to fix the shuttle. I'll slow them down." "No." Kayla looked at him. "You gave me legs, let me use them." Before he could argue, she ran. Fast, smooth, graceful. Her new limbs let her leap across wreckage and scale broken walls. The blackguards spotted her, diverted their path, and gave chase. Darren cursed under his breath and focused harder on the control panel. Sparks flew as he bypassed the lock. The door slid open just enough for him to squeeze through. Inside the bay, the shuttle was old, but not beyond repair. He started the power sequence, praying Kayla would come back. Outside, Kayla led the scouts to the old ruins, dodging blasts, leaping rooftops, moving like lightning. She didn't know if she would make it, but she knew one thing: Darren believed she was more than a tool, and she would not let him be taken. Finally, she circled back. As she approached the bay door, one of the scouts caught up. It raised its weapon. She dove. A blast skinned her shoulder, but she rolled through the door as Darren hit the emergency close button. The door slammed shut. She lay there breathing hard, a small burn on her skin, but alive. Darren knelt beside her. "Are you okay?" She smiled weakly. "Told you, I wanted to help." He pressed his forehead to hers for a second. "You're not just helping. You're surviving, with me." Kayla winced as Darren patched the burn on her shoulder. His hands were steady, but she could tell he was angry, not at her, but at what almost happened. "You shouldn't have gone out there alone," he muttered. "I distracted them," she replied. "You needed time." I gave it to you. Darren tied the bandage tightly, then looked at her. Doesn't mean I wanted you hurt. She looked down. That's the first time anyone said that to me. The shuttle bay smelled like rust and old fuel. Lights flickered overhead, and the floor vibrated with the hum of forgotten engines. Darren had already powered up the shuttle systems, but parts were damaged. Wires were exposed. Some of the core systems needed rebuilding from scratch. Kayla stood slowly, testing her legs again. They still worked, but one joint had taken a knock during her escape. I can help, she said. Tell me what to do. Darren handed her a toolkit. You see those conduits on the back wall? Strip them clean. We'll use the copper for rewiring. She nodded and got to work. Hours passed as they worked side by side. Kaylee followed his instructions perfectly, watching, learning, adapting. Darren was surprised how quickly she understood things. It wasn't just her legs that were upgraded, her mind was sharp too. You were a slave, he said quietly. But you were meant for more than that. She didn't answer right away. Then softly she said, I was grown in a lab, raised to serve. They called us functionals, each one had a purpose. Mine was comfort. Darren stopped working. She continued, her voice flat. When I ran, they didn't chase me because I escaped. They chased me because I was stolen property. You're not property. I know that now. But I didn't before. You're the first person who looked at me like I was real. Darren stepped closer. That's because you are. For the first time, Kayla looked unsure of herself. She had survived battles, run from death, and rebuilt herself. But this, being seen as a person, still felt strange. Suddenly, an alarm buzzed on the shuttle's console. Darren rushed over. Proximity sensor, he said. They're scanning for power sources. We lit up the engines, and they noticed. Can we fly? Not yet. The thruster core is still unstable. We need at least 4 more hours. Kayla checked her weapon, an old shot pistol with only 1 charge left. We won't have 4 hours, Darren sighed. Then we hold them off. Kayla looked at the shuttle, then at Darren. We should destroy the console. Hide. Let them think the signal was a ghost. No, he said firmly. I'm not hiding again, and I'm not letting them take you. I'm not worth this. Yes, he said. You are. Footsteps echoed outside the hangar, heavy boots, armored movement. Darren grabbed a metal pipe. He wasn't a fighter, but he'd swing if he had to. Kayla stepped in front of him. You fixed my legs. Let me use them. Before he could stop her, she sprinted toward the entrance, moving faster than the soldiers could react. She slid under their legs, kicked the first in the back, and sent him flying. The second raised his gun, but she leapt and struck his arm with a high kick, making the weapon drop. Darren ran to help, swinging the pipe at the third soldier. It connected with a loud crack. The soldier staggered, then fell. Together, they forced the rest to retreat outside the hangar. The last one threw a flash grenade behind him as he fled. The light burst blinded them both. When Kayla could see again, the hangar was silent. Darren leaned against a wall, breathing hard. That was insane, Kayla grinned. But effective. They laughed, real laughter this time, not from fear or tension. For once, they weren't just running. They were fighting back. When the lights returned to normal, Darren checked the shuttle's screen again. 2 hours, he said. We might actually make it. Kayla walked up beside him. Where will we go? Someplace quiet, peaceful. A place where no one owns anyone. She looked at him, then nodded. I want that. They worked through the night, not as builder and tool, but as equals, tired, wounded, but full of hope. The hangar was quiet again, but it was a tense silence like the deep breath before a final storm. Kayla sat near the shuttle, checking her legs for any damage. One knee joint had cracked slightly during the fight, but the internal systems were still working. Darren was finishing repairs on the main thruster core. His hands moved fast now, efficient, focused. He was running on pure will. The console lights blinked green. They were almost ready. Kayla looked up at him. "Do you think we'll make it out?" "I don't know," he said honestly. "But I know we have to try." She nodded. "You could have left me back in the city. Even when the drone came, you didn't." "I never saw you as something to leave behind," Darren said, still tightening bolts. "I saw someone trying to survive, like me." Kayla looked down. "When I was created, they told us we were made for one purpose. We were trained not to ask questions, not to dream." "You can dream now." She gave him a small smile. "What?" "If I don't know how, then we figure it out together." A loud bang echoed through the far side of the hangar. Darren grabbed his pipe. Kayla stood ready. But it wasn't soldiers this time. A large transport drone rolled in, its red sensors flashing. It was a collector unit used by the blackguard to gather unclaimed property that meant them. Kayla's eyes narrowed. That thing doesn't negotiate. Darren quickly activated the shuttle's defensive barrier, but it only had enough charge for one burst. "It's scanning us," he said. "We can't let it tag the shuttle." Kayla didn't wait for instructions. She sprinted across the hangar, zigzagging through crates. The drone turned toward her, firing small pulse shots to slow her down. She rolled beneath one, her legs moving with perfect balance. She reached the drone's side and jumped, grabbing hold of a maintenance panel. The drone swerved violently. She hung on. Darren ran to the shuttle controls. "Kayla, I can hit it with the barrier, but you have to move now." She yanked open the side panel, exposed the drone's control wires, and with one sharp tug ripped them out. The drone screeched and jerked. Sparks flew. Then silence. She dropped to the ground as the drone's body crashed beside her, motionless. Darren ran to her. "Are you okay?" Kayla nodded, though her arm was scraped and her breathing fast. "Told you, these legs are good." He helped her up. "They're only as strong as the person using them." They walked back to the shuttle, the last of the systems fully charged now. The engines hummed. Lights glowed steady. The console displayed a green launch status. Darren looked at her. "This is it." Kayla hesitated. She looked around the hangar at the broken walls, the scattered tools, the fallen drone. She had come here broken. Now she was standing on her own, because someone finally treated her like a person. She climbed the board. Inside. The shuttle was cramped but clean. Darren took the pilot seat, Kayla beside him. As he began liftoff, Kayla rested her hand gently on his. "If we survive this," she said, "I don't want to be alone again." He looked at her. "You won't be." The engines roared. The floor rumbled beneath them. The shuttle rose slowly, shaking off years of dust and silence. Outside the hangar, more blackguard forces began to appear on foot, in the air. But too late. The shuttle burst into the sky, leaving behind the battlefield that once held her in chains. Kayla looked out the window, watching the war-torn land grow smaller. "I used to think I was a thing to be used," she whispered. "But you showed me I'm more." "You always were," Darren said. "You just needed someone to say it." The stars opened ahead. Behind them, the world still burned. But in that tiny ship, heading into the unknown, something powerful had begun something. Stronger than war, metal, or fear. Trust. Asterisk. The stars stretched in every direction as the shuttle left Alexia 9's orbit. For a long time, neither Darren nor Kayla said anything. The silence inside the ship was peaceful, just the low hum of engines and the gentle rhythm of space. Kael. A sat in the co-pilot's seat, eyes wide. She had never seen space like this. Before, she had only been moved between cages, planets, and markets, always inside dark containers, blind to the stars. Now she could see everything. "It's beautiful," she whispered. Darren glanced at her. "Where do you want to go?" She turned to him, surprised. "You're asking me?" Of course, it's your choice. Her voice was quiet. No one's ever given me a choice before. You have one now, he said. Anywhere we can land safely. There's a planet called Thalon 3 Neutral Zone. Peaceful, open skies. I know people there. Kayla smiled faintly. Open skies sound nice. They set course for Thalon 3, and the shuttle adjusted smoothly. It would take several hours, maybe a full cycle to reach orbit. While Darren stayed at the controls, Kayla moved to the back of the shuttle and sat on a small bench. She unstrapped one of her legs and began cleaning it with a soft cloth. As she worked, she noticed something strange. Inside the leg joint, wrapped near the core, was a small strip of fabric. She pulled it out. It was part of a ribbon, torn, but still clean, pale blue. She brought it to Darren. What is this? He looked and laughed quietly. That was from my sister. She used to tie that ribbon to everything I built. Said it was good luck. Kayla held it gently. You put it in my leg? I guess I did, he said. Didn't think you'd ever see it. She nodded. Thank you. Later, while Darren rested, Kayla stood at the small window and stared at the stars. Her reflection stared back, silver hair, glowing eyes, powerful metal legs beneath soft travel clothes. She didn't see a slave anymore. She saw a survivor, a fighter. Someone becoming whole again. She returned to Darren's side and sat next to him. He opened one eye. Couldn't sleep? No, she said. Too much to think about. He sat up. Like what? Like what I want to be now. Darren tilted his head. And what do you want to be? Kayla thought for a long moment. I don't know yet, but I know I want to choose it. Not have it chosen for me. You will. She looked at him, her voice softer. And I want to stay with you, not because I owe you, but because I feel safe. His smile was tired but real. Then stay. As they drew closer to Thalon 3, the shuttle passed through a nebula, clouds of glowing gas and bright light. Kayla stood again, watching in awe. I used to think the stars were just cold and far away, she said. But now they feel warm. Maybe. They always were, Darren said, walking up beside her. You just needed the right window. The shuttle finally broke through the atmosphere of Thalon 3. Below, green valleys and lakes spread across the surface. No fire, no war. Just peace. They landed near a quiet village surrounded by trees. Locals came out, humans and aliens together. No weapons, no chains. Just curious smiles. Kayla stepped off the shuttle first. The wind touched her face. She took a deep breath. She walked on her new legs, not as a tool, not as a trade, but as a free being. Beside her, Darren carried only a small bag and the same calm smile. He didn't lead. He didn't follow. He walked with her. Kayla looked at him once more. You really meant it, didn't you? She said. When you said I'm not for sale. I meant every word. She reached out, gently took his hand, and held it. And for the first time in her life, she didn't feel owned. She felt alive.